Hi world, hi YouTube. This is Sabrina in China. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining. Guys, it's a new year, and since starting my channel last year, a lot of you have joined. And so today I want to take the time to kind of reintroduce myself to you guys, let you guys know who I am, where I'm from, and my coming to China story. So here we go. For those of you who don't know, I am from Jamaica. I came to China in 2019. How did I hear about coming to China? How did I end up in China from Jamaica, right? Well, I studied political science and international relations for my undergraduate degree. And during that time, we learned a lot about China. I wrote a lot of papers about China, about China's development. We tried to answer questions like, would China take the place of the US? Would China be the next hegemony in the world? Would China be the next superpower in the world? What is behind China's fast development? What is the root cause of China's development? China was developing so quickly and is still developing so quickly. So I was really fascinated about China. It was always a topic for me because of what I was studying, and I did so much research about it, so many papers on it. So China was always a topic, a country on my mind. But I had a plan for my life. I wanted to do something in politics or international relations. So I went on to do a master's degree, or I started to do my master's degree. And one day while I was in a lecture, a guy came around handing out flyers about the opportunity to teach English in China for a year. And I took the flyer because I knew the person who was handing out the flyers. So I took one, didn't think too much of it at the moment. And then I went home and I started to look at it like, oh, you know, it's just for a year. It's not bad. I could get the experience, and I would be in a much better position to apply for the job I want in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in my country, knowing that I went to China, this country that was developing so fast. It would be really good to say I taught in China, you know. And as the first semester of my master's program was coming to a close, I put it on hold. I applied for a leave of absence, and I decided to go to China for a year. I was going to sign a one-year contract, go to China, and come back home. So I looked into all the things I needed to do to be qualified to teach in China, and I realized that I needed a teaching certificate because I didn't have a bachelor's in education, so I needed to do something related to teaching. So I did a certificate, and I was now qualified to teach in China. So I started to tell my friends and family that, hey, I'm going to go to China, I'm going to go to China for a year, I'm going to work and have all this experience and stuff like that. But there were a lot of critics, you know, like some of my friends, they were like, oh, that's going to be cool and interesting. But then there were some family members who were like, hey, you're going to that communist country. As a Christian, you will not be able to worship. You will go to jail. You know, a lot of scary stories about China. So there were a lot of fear behind it, you know, in my coming to China. And I even had someone in my life at the time. I said to the person, would you consider going to China with me? And the person said, I would never, ever step foot in that communist country because there will be no freedom, you will be followed, your life will not be your own. Just a lot of really silly stuff, you know. But in spite of all the fear, in spite of all the critics, I decided to give it a go. I decided to come to China for myself, experience it for myself, and I did. I did in 2019, and then, oh my gosh, COVID happened. And COVID happened in 2019, and as the year of my contract was coming to an end, I realized that I was not going to go home. There was no way of me going home at the end of 1 year because there were no flights. The opportunity for going home, like it was just not possible, right? So I signed another year, because I thought certainly after one more year, COVID is going to be gone. It will be done. Certainly, it will not take 4 years for the world to get back to normal, you know? So I signed another year, I moved to another city, and I started to see more of China. I started to indulge in more Chinese food, Chinese people, Chinese culture, and I really started to love China. I started to realize how safe China is, the type of lifestyle I'm able to live in China, the people, the culture. I started to fall in love with all of that, the healthcare, you know, going to the hospital and not having to pay a lot of money, or not having to wait for months to get through, or not having good healthcare. And so those are the things that I started to like about China. You know, I was 23 at the time. I was young and I was living on my own. I had my own apartment, and I was able to afford a lifestyle that I wouldn't be able to achieve. Even if I had gotten the job I wanted to apply for right out of university, I wouldn't be able to afford the lifestyle I was affording in China and being able to take care of my family the way I am able to today. And so I decided to stick with China because of all the benefits that comes with living in China. And it just became so peaceful. Even in spite of the pandemic stuff that was happening, life was really good, because there was a time when COVID happened in China and it was really, really bad. And then it went to the rest of the world, and then it was really calm for a while in China. No one was talking about COVID, and then it came back and was really crazy. That's when all the QR codes happened. And then the anti-China stuff started to come even more than it was before I came to China, because, you know, a lot of people were anti-China, but I believe that after COVID, they became even more anti-China. The anti-China sentiments grew bigger, you know, and spread wider. So I started to see for myself what China is as I started to travel around China. I started to see China for myself, and I realized that a lot of the anti-China stuff, they aren't true. And I wanted to show my experience living in China, because I had such a positive, I still have such a positive experience living in China. I feel so grateful to be living in China, so happy. Some of the best things that have happened in my life happened while I was in China. I am proud of the woman I am today. I came to China very young, like a girl, and I will be leaving China a woman, you know. It's been 5 years, and I am tremendously happy to be living in China. And so that's why my YouTube channel started. I wanted to show the world the China that I see with my own eyes. When I walk the streets of China, what I see, I want to show the world that, hey, all this anti-China stuff is not true, you know. And so that is how I ended up on YouTube, and that is where we are today. I am showing you guys the China that I see, being here 5 years and still loving it. I am really happy that I made the step to come to China, that I was bold enough to do it, that in spite of the fear, I came to China. In spite of the anti-China stuff, I saw for myself, and I am absolutely in love with living in China. I will continue to use my platform, my YouTube channel, to show the world the China that I see. And so that is my coming to China story. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, this is Sabrina in China. Bye.